Hi, and welcome to Season 5, Draft 1 of the incredible Deep End Invitational. Some of the very best players we know and know of compete 4 leagues, 12-team drafts, no ADP, although Adam is maybe ready to correct me on that because this is a format he created to try to make it as hard as possible to predict the early rounds, to build teams. It really challenges the very best players' creativities. We are less than 2 minutes away from starting, so thank you for watching or listening. Mike Schauf, Adam Krautwurst, here we go. First of 4 Deep End Invitational drafts over the next 2 weeks. Thanks to the PlayerProfiler Network for having us. This is the Deep End Invitational.
You know, I got down here a little early tonight. My wife's like, "Why are you so antsy about getting down and getting on the show?" Normally, I roll in 2 minutes before. Like, babe, this is the Deep End Invitational. She's like, "Oh, it's the deep." She's like, "Oh, it's the Deep End Invitational." I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna go downstairs now. You don't understand. This separates the men from the boys, and the women from the girls.
It separates the husbands from the wives,
and the husbands from the wives,
the kids,
and the beds from the couches. And here we are, ready for season 5 here of this beautiful, beautiful tournament.
We are seconds away from the start. We thank everybody for watching, listening, those who are playing for playing, and we especially thank the FFPC for housing our tournament. This has become very special to us. We started with Draft Sharks, and we were MFL, Adam. We were at Fantrax, but FFPC stepped up. We have Fantasy Pros Championship tickets and a main event ticket to the overall champion to give away. Last year's overall champion is in this draft. Let's take a look as the draft is underway. Bradley Stalder has the first overall pick. Before we name, am I too hot? By the way, it seems like I am. I'm moving my mic back a little bit. I'm new at broadcasting.
That's right. Just trying it out.
Before we introduce everybody, how about some thoughts from you on the format? What makes it special? What makes it hard?
What makes it hard, and I think what makes it special is that it's different. What makes it hard, it's the people that are in all these drafts. These are handpicked, high stakes players, some of the best ever, and handpicked analysts. So all these drafts are going to be very, very competitive. I like that it's different. We've been drafting for 9 months already, right? The season's 3 weeks away. Let's get something different where kind of ADP can kind of change up a little bit. It's triflex, right? So it's super flex with another tri-flex, I guess. You could start a quarterback in the flex position, tight end premium at the FFPC, 3 receivers you got to start. So it's we're going to see after 4 drafts, right? The difference, it's not going to look like each draft's going to look different. And right here, we have a 6 quarterback start, right? We may not have another draft that starts with a 6 quarterback. So I absolutely love it. And self-admittedly, it's my favorite style, and I've had some pretty good success in it. So
we probably won't have another one like this because of this happening.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
It is a tournament. There's no place to exactly check what other people have been doing. FFPC does have RotoViz, Triflex, Superflex, all tight end premium. They also have dynasty leagues in this format. This is not a dynasty draft, and this is best ball. So you're playing a unique format here that allows, players are playing for free with a chance to win pretty good prizes, and you're also testing themselves against other experts. It's really a chance to try different strategies, but you get one shot. Last year's winner, Go Bills, becomes the first team to not pick a quarterback, as at 8, they go with CeeDee Lamb over McCaffrey, over the other receivers. McCaffrey goes 9. Interesting start. 7 quarterbacks to start. You see this a lot in Superflex, Adam, but in our years of doing this tournament, not necessarily have we seen that, league after league.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm using over at Fantasy Mojo, I'm using the ADP board for the Triflex Best Ball Satellite Leagues. I don't know how many of them have been done. Maybe if Darren's in here, he can throw that in there. But the 7 quarterbacks usually go in the top 9 picks. So the top 10 picks, sorry. So it's very interesting to see how they all went off the board here pretty quickly. Kyler Murray's ADP is the 201. Here he goes at the 106. So it's cool. Again, it's cool to see how teams want to build their rosters. What does Go Bills not win? They've pretty much won everything. They go CeeDee Lamb. And I was always interested to see where Christian McCaffrey was going to go, because everybody kind of, when you get the 101 or 102, you feel like you have to take him. But when you're in Superflex, it gives you the opportunity to go, you know what? I don't really want McCaffrey because I think he's going to get hurt. I think he's old or whatever. Like, maybe I'll just take a quarterback, or maybe I'll just take like Tyreek Hill or something. But Hillard, Death Dealers, snags Christian McCaffrey at the 109.
So just so I'm clear, that other format FFPC offers that you mentioned at Mojo, is that a tournament though?
It's a satellite. So no, it's not. No,
that's why we're unique, because you are playing against 3 other divisions. It's not Best Ball Mania or something with hundreds of teams, but you are trying to beat the teams that'll be drafting in the next couple of weeks. I guess I have to say advantage them, because they'll be able to play off of this a little bit. But I don't think there's anything exactly like what we're doing tonight, and I love that for testing the skill of our players. We're into round 2. We're going to have 2 or 3 of our competitors join us tonight. We're back on the stream next Thursday with League 2, and then the following week, Wednesday and Thursday, Leagues 3 and 4, and that will wrap the Deep End Invitational. The overall winner gets a main event ticket to next year's FFPC main event. Beautiful. It's a $2,000 prize. The other division winners, league winners, receive a Fantasy Pros Championship ticket, $350, the value of that. So a lot of, gold pieces being thrown around.
For a free roll, can't do better. And super thankful of for Alex and FFPC supporting us in this. They've been nothing but amazing, and giving us these credits to be able to give out to all the winners is really, really awesome. So again, these guys aren't playing for nothing. We know all the analysts and all the high stakes players are super busy this time of year. So to have them join us and compete and complete for a little prize is pretty sweet.
We want to tell you that it is a free roll for these players. A lot of times you might watch or listen to podcasts and, tons of entries and money are being thrown around, but you don't necessarily know if it's their own money. So a lot of what Adam and I do is our own money. We'll tell you every time whether it is. And this one for these guys isn't, but the fact that they're playing for good prizes and playing against, showing themselves against their fellow experts and analysts, I think, I take it as a great compliment to our show and to you and me individually, Adam, that they're willing to play. Would now be a good time to tell everybody who is actually playing in this.
Do it. Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
All right, we'll go in order by the draft order, starting with pick 1, Bradley Stalder, news desk director for our friends at PlayerProfiler, who are part of our show at the Deep End. I've drafted against Bradley at least once, and I lost that time. We've probably competed other times, but he is very tough. Stacy Perez at 2. You may have run into Stacy at the Expo last weekend in Canton. Analyst for Fantasy and Frames. Tough player, knows a lot, loves being a part of the fantasy football community, and we love that. At 3 is Andrew Geller, a.k.a. The Guilds. Am I sure I have it right? I think it's The Guilds.
The same.
You can go either way with that. Only thing tougher than beating Guilds in fantasy football is beating him in fantasy baseball.
That's right.
Which I'm going to ask you some questions about before the month is over. At pick 4 is Jack Miller, fantasy and betting analyst for Establish the Run. I don't see or hear a lot from Jack, but I listened to him once, and I listen to ETR all the time, as a lot of us do, and this young man is a force. We're glad to have Jack with us tonight. At pick 5, David Reilich, heavy emphasis on sports betting. You can find his Patreon at the Hulk Bets, and we will get to know Dave in a few minutes. He'll join us. At 6, Ian Hartitz, Fantasy Life. I remember the first time I ever listened to Ian, who I consider a friend. He's been on my WGR show many times, always generous with his time. I was listening to the PFF Fantasy Football podcast one morning, cleaning my pool, Is that a brag? I'm sorry. I don't mean that to be a brag. And suddenly Ian was the new host. And I've been in radio for 30 years. And I'm always listening for somebody who can carry the tune for 20 minutes by themselves. And Ian immediately was impressive in that way. So I've always been a fan, and he's maybe the best follow in fantasy Twitter from MB Fantasy Life, Matthew Berry. At 7 is Jay Reid. There's analyzing, and then there's winning. And I mean, 6th overall in the main event last year, I believe. Yeah. Jay's been in the space a long time. I think I might have been in that draft. I was in one draft in Las Vegas with him in the main event. Longtime co-host with Scott Connor on Chasing the Helmet. And we're glad to have Jay. He's always available to us in these tournaments, and he is tough to beat. At 8 is Go Bills, Dom, Sean, and Nick. There's winning, and then there's winning. Insane that a back-to-back main event title is even possible. We'll have Abib Agbatoba later on in the tournament, back-to-back Fantasy Pros title winner when it was Football Guys. Incredible that either happened. Not only a 2 times main winner, but the runaway winner in this event last year. Go Bills. 9, Hillard Newsome, Death Dealers, high-stakes player you'll run into Hillard at the FFPC in Vegas, maybe in Kentucky. At those tournaments, we are in a RotoViz Dynasty League with Hillard. One thing about this man, he will buy your drinks for you, which is very generous. That's how you get in these things, right? I mean, Adam.
And then take your money later. You know what I mean? It's all a game. It's all a game.
Don't let the name Death Dealers fool you. Hillard is a sweetheart. He's at pick 9 tonight. At 10 is Zachary Krueger of Roto World. Love having the Roto World gang in the tournament. Pat Doherty is coming up later on in the tourney. Pat Denny, Kyle Dvorak. They have the recipe down for a podcast. Smart and funny. You can't lose with smart and funny. From the district, Zach, but honorary 716er, Buffalo. Zach has come up to consecutive live Scott Fishbowl drafts here. Gotta love it. 11 is Matt Schauf, just down the road in Rochester, our former colleague at Draft Sharks. There's almost no one I'd less rather see in my draft room than Matt. And that's without IDP involved, right. Because if it's IDP, forget it. Matt will be on with us later tonight. I'm technically filling his shoes as host of this podcast. When we started as the Draft Sharks Invitational, Matt was the captain a few years, and I finished second the 1 year, but it's not about me. And at 12, John Daigle, jet setter with Establish the Run. You cannot consume fantasy football content over the last decade or more without knowing the name John Daigle. John is close to my heart, Canadian roots, and as well, he has a love for martinis. And with that, you speak.
Done. Well done. Yeah, and shout out to Bradley. He's actually, I didn't realize he's doing Stack Hunters tonight for on the Player Profiler Network. So I think unless he recorded it earlier with Justin Herzig, another Bills fan, I think. I think so. Unless it's Liam. No, Liam's the Bills fan. But anyways, so if he's drafting and potting at the same time, that's very, very impressive. So good for him. Yeah, the room's stacked. I mean, it's going to be tough to win any of these leagues. Tough to win the overall. And
you won your division last year.
I won my division last year. 2 years before that, I came in second overall in the whole event, but didn't win my league. Lost to Chad Schroeder. Yeah. Took that down the whole thing. So it was nice to win my league last year and get that free Fantasy Pros credit.
Yeah, my second overall was in year 3 to John Scuderi, who will also be joining us. Pete Overzet won the first year, and then last year it was Go Bills. So Chad will not be with us this year, I think, but every other former winner is participating this season. We are at the end of round 3. We had 8 quarterbacks go in the first round, 3 more in round 2, then 4 in round 3, a total of 15 quarterbacks through 35 picks. By my math, Adam, that means at least theoretically 17 more starting quarterbacks will appear here. And we don't know necessarily who all of them are going to be, but most. You know, what is your thought here it's 16 through 36. So half the league starting quarterbacks go in the first 3 rounds. Nobody has 3. All but one team have at least 1. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get a lot of that. Zach going with no quarterbacks there. And I think that we're going to see like probably 30 6 to 40 quarterbacks go tonight. So it'll be interesting. Some people like to get it out of the way, right? Bang, bang, Lamar Jackson, Caleb Williams, CJ Stroud, Jordan Love, stuff like that, and then not worry about it the rest of the draft. Other people like to push it. I know you like to push it. So we'll see in your draft how you're going to roll there.
What are you saying? What are you claiming to know? That next week what I'm going to be doing? We have not discussed this.
I've done a couple. That's right. But Zach looks like he's pushing it too. And Zach's usually a 0 RB guy. He goes, Hall and Taylor there. Very, very interesting. But yeah, no, we're going to see a ton of quarterbacks go off the board by the end of this draft.
We will bring on our first guest, Dave Reilich, who's drafting in the 5 slot tonight in just a moment, and continue watching this draft here, of course, and talking about it with you for the next hour at least. Mike Schauf and Adam Krautwurst at Deep End FF1. Before we bring on our first guest, let's take a moment and have a word from our sponsor.
Hey, it's the Podfather of great news. The draft kit is live. It is world famous. Why? Because it is the best resource for winning fantasy football championships that exists. There are rankings and cheat sheets for every format you can imagine. We have projections both at the team level and the player level. And wherever you are, you can click on a player, open them up, and see in-depth written analysis about what to expect in fantasy football from that player this year. And then you can click on the team and you can get even more in-depth analysis, all the drivers of fantasy production, both in a positive and negative direction for that team, including a signature trend. And the graphics are incredible. So these team insights, they give you the team level projections, the vacated targets, the vacated ARs. And we added a bunch of features. Individual cheat sheets for Theo and Billy and Dario. So you could take your favorite analyst and download their personal draft cheat sheet. And then in the commissioners section, Memphis Young lays out everything you need to know to manage a league. The best minds in the industry contributing analysis. It's certainly not the most inexpensive draft kit on the market, but it is the best. PlayerProfiler.com/draft kit. PlayerProfiler.com/draft kit. Go get it.
Welcome back. We're in round 4 of the first of 4 Deep End Invitational drafts for 2024. Adam?
Yeah, I was say it was nice to meet Matt at the Expo this last weekend. He was there. It was fun to meet with him and chop it up a little bit. But another guy who was at the Expo, David Reilich, here with us today, was also at the Expo this weekend. What's up, buddy?
Just getting ready to click a little button here. You guys caught me at a good time. I'm on the clock right now. I think I've got to go tight end in this tight end premium format and just go out of the way and get my guy. That's all. Just got to go out and get George Kittle.
Ooh, your guy.
Tight end 6 at 408. Yep.
There you go.
What did I miss at the Expo, Adam? What was different this year?
What was different? Well, they had a sports betting on Saturday. So they normally do the Expo on Sunday, but they kind of split it up between Saturday and Sunday with the sports betting stuff on Saturday, which I know Dave was a big part of. And then more fantasy football focus on Sunday, and then everything else was the same: the parties, the flag football tournaments, the cornhole, all that stuff.
The hotel bar.
The hotel. No, you know what? We didn't go there at all. It was George's all weekend long. We went to George's, so that was kind of fun. But that's where the party was at.
Dave, what is your balance between sports betting and fantasy?
Well, fantasy, I really only play NFL, so I'm pretty tight around NFL season with a lot of fantasy. But I'll sports bet year round. So, off season, I'm doing more best ball drafts for underdog and stuff, but sports betting's year round, 365 days, not even taking off for Christmas because we got a full slate of NBA games and NFL this year. So it's definitely heavier sports betting, but it's almost like the fantasy football and the best ball is like a little bit of a relief for me.
You've got the backdrop right, I think. Adam, you agree?
Fancy. And listen, no one's got a better polo game either. I mean, I don't know if you can see that golf polo he's got on. Unbelievable. I mean,
the shirt.
Look. That's right.
I feel like I was either playing polo or betting polo or both. I don't know. Is that something you can do? Can you bet polo?
You should listen. You probably can, but I know my strengths and weaknesses, and I stay out of anything. I have no idea what's going on. So I even bet on the Olympics this year, like a true degenerate. But I stuck to golf because I have a little bit of a familiarity with the game. Not very good, but made some bets on Scotty Scheffler to win towards the end, and he came through. So
Adam has me going to Webster on Saturday morning for a 7:10 tee time. I live in Grand Island. I used to live in Webster. That's like 2 hours, to have a chance to putt a little bit, pay the money, sign in, stretch.
Right.
And you need an hour before you leave to sort of go to the bathroom once or twice, have some coffee,
12-hour
breakfast.
day.
He has me getting up Saturday morning at 4. Well, it should be a great weekend.
yeah, that's going to be a full day for you there. But listen, you can't go wrong when you're out on the links. You guys should have a great time. And, I'm glad that you guys are going to be able to get up together. Adam and I gotta get out and play soon too. So
I definitely won't have a couple drinks and fall asleep on the ride home either. I definitely won't do that.
That's right.
Be tired at 2:00 here for my family. Well, Dave, you start Anthony Richardson at 5. Was there any scenario where you would not have taken a quarterback at 5?
I don't think so. Honestly, like I was looking at the list and I saw where people were going. And listen, don't get me wrong. I love Lamar, but I'm happy that I got Richardson there at 5. Any of these guys that went before him, I would have been happy with. So I think I was going to be happy. Kyler's not a bad pick there after me at 6, in my opinion, and CJ Stroud. But I'm happy with Richardson. I don't know if I would have felt quite as good going Murray or Stroud. I honestly would have gone Stroud if I had to. But no, I think I was going quarterback no matter what.
Yeah. Plus, Dave's a Colts fan, so he gets the double dip there. He gets the double dip on the.
I can't lie to you and say I wasn't pretty psyched when I got to click that button. I'm not gonna lie. I was watching it. I was like, okay, he's probably the next best one up on the board. Him and Lamar. I was like, it could go either way. But when Richardson was available, just gives me that much more to root for this year.
No,
but not Pittman in round 5. You could have picked Pittman.
Yeah, my loyalty is the only thing that outweighs my loyalty to my team is my fantasy brain, and I'm not a big. I like to get some of his pieces later. I'm not a big Pittman with Richardson guy. I think Pittman was a better fit with Minshew last year. I'm not saying Pittman's not going to do well, but as for such a big guy, his red zone touchdowns aren't really there. So listen, if he bites me in the butt, so be it. But I'm a big DK guy this year, so I had to go out and get DK.
I like that. And today, one of the highlights, maybe the highlight of training camp around the NFL was A.D. Mitchell. Nickel and dimes. Adam, 5 and 10. Richardson and Mitchell connecting the footwork on Mitchell on that play in the end zone. I saw it from 2 different angles. Was pretty insane. So I'm not giving anything away. Yep. Dave already said he's looking for Colts pieces later. Josh Downs, are we scared?
Adam, are you scared? I'm a little bit scared. It's a high ankle sprain. I mean, he's a young guy. He's got that going for him. It happened pretty early. But, I mean, if he's 4 to 6 weeks, I don't care. I'd rather have him miss a week or two. Call me crazy. But, let him miss the first 2 to 3 weeks of the season so that he comes back with a lower re-injury risk. But that's my thoughts on it. I don't need him there for week 1. Don't try to force him in. He's a second-year player. Let him rest. That's my opinion.
Yeah, but I'm buying the dip. You know what I mean? Hopefully they put him on the pup so he doesn't play the first 4 weeks. And now you're looking at 8 weeks. Because the biggest thing about the high ankle sprain is everyone feels great. They come back and they just don't have it. They don't have the juice for the rest of the year. So I'm happy, at least for him, that it happened early on. And hopefully by midseason, he's back to rolling full there. But like you said, Richardson, they're just going to be one of the lower passing teams, low passing volume. You're drafting Richardson for the rushing scores and the rushing yards and all that, the dual, but the receivers are kind of tough to draft, but best ball, I guess, would be the way to do it.
David, so anybody watching or listening, how should they know more about you? Where can we find you? And what are you, representing here in the space?
Yeah. So first off, just want to appreciate you guys having me on. This was a great honor that you guys have bestowed on me, and I don't take it lightly. I'm excited to do this best ball draft. I am at the Hulk Bets on pretty much every social platform. Even started a TikTok this week, and that's how you know that I'm really grinding. I never have had a TikTok, but I fired it up. I've been watching tutorial videos like a true old man on how to work it and how to make good content on there. But yeah, the Hulk Bets on all socials, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok now, all of the above. So
I wish you luck. What a story it would make if you won the Deep End Invitational in your first year. A lot of people are like, it's like Roy Hobbs coming to bat. And then has the podcast ever sounded older? Roy Hobbs coming to bat. Oh, it's number 9. Who is number 9? Roy Hobbs. We don't know who that is. But there's a home run off a clock, and the clock is shattered. Maybe he's good. So hopefully you shatter a clock tonight, David.
I want to be the Roy Hobbs of this draft. That's what my
consider it done.
Hillard just took Pittman. I got to think you would have been there. It's with everything you said already. You might have been there at 6, but maybe not. You have other plans. We will find out as we watch more of Dave Reilich's draft in the Deep End Invitational Round 1, League 1 tonight. Thank you, Dave. Good luck.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Adam, I'm looking up stacks here as we're mid-round 6. I see a lot of them. Not everybody's doing that. It is a tournament, but it's 4 leagues. How do you sort of quantify or think about the importance of stacking in this? I feel like it has to be a plus, but maybe you can get away with not doing it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a plus. It's also a full 17-week point accumulation. There's not like a survive in advance type of thing. So it's not like you need to hit like the nuts week 16 or something like that. So you definitely want to stack because it is best ball, but I don't think it's as important as it would be in other tournaments. But it's also a little bit, I want to say it's harder to do in these because, you have 2 quarterbacks. So in theory, it's going to be hard to stack both of them. Maybe you can focus on one, but I realize there's so many players out there, but like Stroud and Love, for Jay Reid, he hasn't been able to stack any of them yet.
Collins is there.
Nico, I'm sorry. Yeah. I missed that. So, yep. But the cool thing about this is also it being super flex. You can draft your quarterbacks first and then stack them after. Whereas a lot of these other single quarterback tournaments, you grab the pieces, you grab, T Higgins or whatever, and just cross your fingers that nobody snipes you on Joe Burrow, because then it kind of ruins your whole thing. Whereas you kind of reverse engineer it with a super flex draft level like this.
Well, speaking of the Bengals, Matt Schauf, who will join us soon at pick 11, that's really, I think, how you play that is you figure out in advance where the stacks are possible. I mean, I don't always win, but that's what I would want to do there. As soon as he picked Burrow, I'm like, okay, yeah, Chase. And John Daigle could have done that, and then Matt would have to pivot. But picks 10, 11, or 3 and 2 on the other end, I think that's how I would play it. I'm trying to find combos in that range. At the end, it's really tough because you sort of feel like you're forced to do it. But at 11 or at 2, I think you have more flexibility. And let's find out if
find out right now.
Matt Schauf was sort of locked in on a Bengals stack. Hi, Matt.
Hey guys, nice to see you.
What's up, buddy?
I hope we're doing okay. As I said earlier, quote, filling your shoes as the host of these tournament drafts.
I mean, I wear big shoes, but I'm sure that you guys clop around in them just fine.
So,
like a clown, exactly.
I like it. Your thoughts on how this draft started for you?
It was fine. I honestly didn't love the beginning. Joe Burrow was kind of who I felt like I had to take there, quarterback wise. The whole point of this draft is that you never really feel awesome about it. It's to make all of us uncomfortable. So when I get into a draft with, a strange kind of format like this that I'm not used to drafting in, I honestly lean on the Draft Sharks War Room to tell me like when it's time, like who I should be leaning toward in that first spot, which was Joe Burrow here, and who I should be leaning toward even later on. Doesn't mean I always necessarily take the top guy, but it really helps me to know where the value is when it's a tougher format to figure out.
You got to Higgins, Matt.
I did, and honestly, so I don't love the practice of double stacking a quarterback in the early rounds like that, getting a quarterback and 2 of his receivers. I'm less worried about it here because, as you guys were talking about just before I came on, it's a smaller field. So, there are fewer rules that you have to follow to maximize. But I was figuring, especially when it got to Higgins, because Joe Burrow is my only quarterback to this point, I'm clearly betting on him putting up a lot of points. So in that case, having his top 2 wide receivers is certainly not a bad idea.
And, I'm not a projections guy, but it's probably, I don't know what the percentages are, but most of the targets are going to go to those 2 guys. I would assume so. And Burrow is a 0 in the rushing department. So all the fantasy points should go through Burrow's arm to Chase and Higgins. And, God forbid one of them gets hurt, the other one should rise up even higher. And you've got 4 receivers there. in your first 6 picks. So I really, really like that Burrow, Chase, Higgins start.
Yeah, certainly having Higgins as my 4th receiver made it even a little bit easier to just go ahead and tap that one.
Yeah.
The thing that impresses me most in anything, of course, like this, but underdog, any sort of draft, is when somebody pushes off the obvious play and then there it is the next time around. Like Adam, if Matt was sort of like, all right, I'm Team Bengals, he takes T. Higgins at 5'11".
Yeah.
But he doesn't. And he sort of challenges John Daigle to do so. And I don't know, Matt, are you also sizing up Team 12 and trying to sort of play the odds on whether you think Higgins will end up going in front of you?
I'll do that at some points. I wasn't worried about missing out on Higgins here because I already had Jamar Chase. Like I said, I don't normally like to load up the 2 wide receivers, especially among the first 4 or 5 picks. I just think you need so much from those guys when you take them that early that it lowers the chances of them paying off for you. So that's why I wanted DJ Moore there to spread it out a little bit. I still think he has a high ceiling. He certainly can outscore T. Higgins this year. It didn't hurt my feelings that Higgins got back to me after John's picks.
And I think based on ADP too, like Higgins wasn't even like DJ Moore usually goes a full round or even a round and a half ahead of him at the FFPC. You know, Pittman, Dell, Flowers, Diggs, all those guys generally go ahead of him. So Matt, I don't think Matt had to be too worried about not getting Higgins in the 6th.
We'll give Matt a little space here. He's coming up on the clock almost here in round 7. It's the Deep End Invitational. Mike Schauf and Adam Krautwurst, joined by Matt Schauf of Draft Sharks. The first of 4 Deep End Invitational drafts, the second of which is next Thursday night. Then the following week will be on Wednesday and Thursday. You'll see Adam drafting in there. Are you on the Thursday night, the 29th, I think?
I'm the last one. I think it's the 20. Is that the 29th? Yeah. 29th, yeah.
I'm just going to sit around all week and see what everybody else did and then build spreadsheets and try to play against that.
Right. I haven't. It's my first draft, Mike. I got to see what everyone else is doing. I got it.
In the deep end.
Right.
I have not done a draft this year. So, I mean, Adam and I have not drafted at all one time. I was not literally 9 days ago swatting mosquitoes like a crazy person drafting with Nick Bakay and Trista Crick from a cottage 5 hours up in Canada. That did not happen. And you cannot see video evidence of that on the Deep End FF1 or on YouTube, brought to you by PlayerProfiler. Adam, while Matt's drafting here at this 7-8 turn, Saquon Barkley. Ooh. So that is running back 6, I think it says.
Yes.
We have debated and argued about Barkley many times. Where are you at? Where are you on him this year?
I like Barkley in a night, and it doesn't have to be best ball, but I like Barkley in a nice Eagle stack. So I did an FFWC World Championship draft the other night, and I had pick 11, and I went AJ Brown, and I came back with Barkley, and then I ended up getting Jalen Hurts. So in that, like, I like that because you get all the rushing scores, maybe 30 scores from your rushing attack. I don't necessarily need to stack him with AJ Brown. I like stacking him more with Hurts, just like I like stacking Taylor with Richardson. I want 30 rushing touchdowns combined between those two guys. And plus, it makes it easier when you're watching the game and they get down there. You're like, listen, if my quarterback falls in, great. If my running back falls in, great. It doesn't matter to me. But other than that, like if I'm not going to stack Barkley with Jalen Hurts, if that's not my plan, I'm usually avoiding him. And so I'll take one of the big 3 running backs, and then I'll take a receiver in the second, or I'll even take Gibbs. Gibbs now has fallen behind Barkley in some of these drafts because of the hamstring. So I'll wait and I'll take Gibbs. So I think it's a long way of saying I'm kind of off Barkley this year in a lot of these high stakes leagues, but I'm not fading him completely. So there are certain situations I will take him.
Matt, you want to take us back to that sound studio in Bushnell's Basin and tell Adam why he's wrong?
Sure. I'm always up for that. So I can understand the argument against Saquon Barkley this year, but my argument for it is that I don't recall the last time the Eagles spent like this on a running back. So all I know for sure is that they have a different plan at running back than they have had at any point since, I don't know, at least Deuce Staley was there, maybe
Yeah.
since Ricky Waters was there. Like, it's really
come
been that
on.
long
Ricky
since they had
Waters?
a workhorse running back. Even when Brian Westbrook was there, he was sharing touches with people while he was getting paid. So the investment in Barkley tells me that they're going to run things differently this year. They're going to work him hard. They're going to give him some stuff near the goal line. Is he going to lose some to Jalen Hurts? Sure. Jonathan Taylor's going to lose some to Anthony Richardson, and other guys are going to lose touchdowns to people as well. So there could be better spots for Barkley. He's also behind the best offensive line of his career. So in round 2, basically, and not in this draft because it's a whole different thing, but in a typical draft, anywhere in round 2, I think Barkley's a fine chance to take, and we'll see exactly what he looks like in green.
Saquon Barkley, some would say, Adam, the finest Giants running back since this man, Emlyn Tunnel. Just sitting here next to me. He's watching the Deep Invitational Draft with me tonight. Emlyn Tunnel, 51 Bowman. He's enjoying the show.
The
Heisman.
Only very old people would say that.
He is doing the Heisman. I was going to say before the Heisman, but that is not before the Heisman, 51. So maybe he actually was doing that. Matt, so quarterbacks at 7 and 8. I thought I knew who you were going to pick at 8 after picking Geno Smith, but I was surprised. Not in a bad way. Will Levis, you've got 3 quarterbacks. You got to figure out tight end here. Obviously, that might be the biggest challenge. Did you think you needed to get 3 quarterbacks by 8, or was there something else?
Mike, I'm here for challenges, first off. So that's the name of the game for me. I like what I like about Geno Smith. One thing I like about him is that there are multiple stacking chances this year. He's got, by my count, 4 guys that I can put with him at some point, those top 3 wideouts and Noah Fant. And I like betting on that offense, especially at their depressed prices. So I like having Geno Smith. I did want to get a 3rd quarterback because it has been a while since I took my first one. If I had taken a second one earlier, I wouldn't have been as concerned about taking that 3rd. I mean, we see some other guys on the board that took their second a little earlier and still took a 3rd one. I'm not sure what I would have done if I had taken the second one. Like if Jaden Daniels had made it back to me in round 2 instead of Jamar Chase and I had taken him, then maybe I would have not taken a 3rd one here. But I like the upside on both of these guys. I do want 3 quarterbacks overall that can put up starter weeks for me so that, it fills in for buys, watches out for injuries, and just, optimizes the scoring from the highest scoring position.
On that, as we're far away from your next pick, if I might press it here, what is your overall attitude about Levis? Like, do you think there's every reason to think Tennessee will A, give him a lot of rope, and B, throw the ball more this year? Are you, in addition to that, sort of high on him as a prospect, or what?
I honestly don't have any strong feeling on him as a prospect. I predicted that he was going to last until round 2 in that draft last year when he was projected to go 4th overall in the days before the draft. But overall, he just seems like a guy to me. And if a quarterback goes in round 2, you shouldn't expect huge things from him in the league. That said, this year's Titans are telling us that they're going to throw the ball a lot more. They didn't bring in competition for him. I'm sorry if you're Mason Rudolph's cousin, but they're expecting Will Levis to lead this passing attack. They brought in Calvin Ridley. They brought in Tyler Boyd. They brought in Tony Pollard, who's a wide receiver in the backfield. They're going to throw the ball plenty. So at the price you need to pay for Will Levis, I'm totally fine just taking a shot, seeing what happens in a tight end. That's what he's sized like, but in a QB2 kind of spot, or as my 3rd quarterback in a best ball situation.
Yeah, he's Taysom Hill is what he is back there. But yeah, Will Levis, you're right. You just took the words out of my mouth. It's a perfect spot to take him as your QB3 in a super flex type of draft. And if he can, and we don't know, he might be okay if he can check down the ball. Like, I hate to say this, but like if he can check down, like Derek Carr has survived so long because he's a check down king. He gets guys like Alvin Kamara, and he's able to really kind of stay on the field, work the ball down the field. They got all these pass catching running backs. They have receivers galore. They're going to spread it out. So if he can, I could see him flipping a switch and kind of becoming that QB2 that you're looking for. And then I think he's got a little bit of a rushing upside too. So I think this is like the perfect spot to take him.
Yeah, I think it's going to be wildly inconsistent for
Correct.
leagues that have to set lineups. But I think when you can just sit back and wait for the big weeks, I like it.
I hope he survives. He's interesting. He's fun. I saw a play from week 1 in the preseason where he's trying to scramble and score a touchdown from the 4 and just gets destroyed at the 1 yard line. Like, life is short, buddy. maybe there's only one way to play. But I like
why
the
you push all
idea.
those weights, right?
That's why you run all those laps. That's why you live all those. Exactly. I like playing this kind of draft too in mind, where you open yourself up to different, even maybe like wild stack possibilities with the quarterbacks you've taken, and all three of your quarterbacks afford you that here tonight at various positions. So it'll be very interesting to see what Matt does if he tries to align with Cincinnati, Seattle, and Tennessee. We're not saying he will. We will not ask him if he will. That would be rude and too much information. Matt, what's new with Draft Sharks? We'll let you go here in a moment, but everybody's a fan. How's it going over there? We're not jealous.
It's going great. The draft war room is plugging along. It's helping me with my draft tonight. We're updating our draft guide articles that are more popular than I want them to be because they're really tedious to put out and to update, but people love them. So we're updating those this week. And again, each of the next couple of weeks. I just put out my IDP strategy guide at the beginning of this week. So that's always one of the most fun exercises for me, getting into the sleepers and my strategy by position there.
How many texts do you get? How many random texts do you get, Matt, from guys like me? Hey, I'm doing my one IDP draft. I have your number in my phone. Send me 7 guys I have to draft.
Yes.
I'll just say it's not as bad as it could be. That's
good. I don't feel so bad then.
Yeah.
Well, I know I speak for my partner when I say hi to Adam's uncle, and
Yes.
we'll talk to you soon. Good luck in the rest of the draft, Matt.
Will do. Good to see you guys. Take care. And thanks for having me not only on the show, but also in this tournament.
Of course, you're welcome. You
course.
deserve it.
Thank
Matt
you.
Schauf of Draft Sharks coming up here at the end of round 9.
Great.
You
great
okay?
stuff.
You okay?
Yeah.
Was that too? Was that
No, it's
asking?
beautiful.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
What is Matt going to do at tight end?
I don't know.
Will he get there?
Premium or something? We'll see. We're only at tight end 12 here, so I mean, there's plenty of guys left. This has been such a unique. I mean, they're all going to be so unique, but it's fun to be able to do crazy stuff. I was in a super flex draft the other night at 12, and I went Bijan and Brees because it looked fun to do. I'll obviously take this one a little bit more seriously. I'm trying to win, but you can really build any type of way and win. And so you see that Go Bills, double tap receiver to start. Jack double taps quarterback to start. So and so does Jay.
I think Go Bills, who we know and really respect and like, they've gotten away with it here with
Bryce Young.
Because they're at 8. They're not so close to the edge where they can really have a better idea of what's coming. But St. Brown at 205, Goff at 308. They got there.
Yeah.
If somebody else takes Goff, I mean, they know so much. Laporta Goff could have happened, something like that.
Yeah.
But who are the other stack options on the same teams? When you pick St. Brown, you're thinking about that. And then you get to Andrews at 405, that's a stud. That's arguably tight end 1.
Yeah.
ETN, workload, fine. 1 running back through 9 rounds it is now. Tank Dell, fine. Then Deontay Johnson at 708. They need quarterback 2. How many are left? Who's the receiver that gives you that couple? And they got there too with Bryce Young, who most people are afraid of. And then Jamison Williams at 908 to go with Goff and St. Brown. I love that team.
Yeah, it just works out. Even Stephanie Miller even said when it happened, the Bills got a gift. The fact that they were able to get Bryce Young to go along with Deontay Johnson. Then they get Jamison Williams to go along with Jared Goff. Yeah, it just all works out beautifully. We'll see what they're able to do at running back, but they've been here a million times before. They'll be just fine.
But when you pick Deontay Johnson, you just you make it that much less likely that anybody behind you will take Young.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's going to be no Carolina on any of those teams. So that's all in the computer there. That's really good.
Yeah.
It's round 10 of the Deep End Invitational, draft 1 of 4. Mike Schauf and Adam Krautwurst will be here next Thursday night with League 2. Some more big names for you and me next week. And then following that, 2 more drafts, the 28th and the 29th. Our friends at Ship Chasing, who are on tonight with a main event draft. It's not only Pete, Pat, and Ben Gretsch together in that August 28th draft, but it's also Davis Maddock. The four of them are drafting tonight together at Ship Chasing. They'll all be with us. Wednesday is the only night they can do because they have their own stuff.
And they're drafting their own teams, correct? All four of them?
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that'll be fun. Hopefully they do it on stream and all talk shit to each other. That'll be fun.
Yeah, they did the same thing last year. We didn't have Davis last year, but we had Pete, Pat, and Ben in my draft last year, and the Guilds won that league. And he is in this draft at team 3. We're almost halfway through. We're going 20 rounds tonight. I doubt we'll be on the stream for that long, but we'll always at Deep End FF1 share boards and be willing to be, there to talk about it. Let's talk about Andrew's team at team 3. What do you like here? Starts Mahomes, Kelsey.
Yeah, there you go. That's when a lot of people money, right? And he's able to get Purdy Ayuk, if that's a thing, in a week or so. Hopefully it is.
I think it is.
I think it is too. He's able to get Xavier Worthy to go with Mahomes and Kelsey. And kind of back to your point with Bryce Young and Deontay Johnson, I feel like it's going to be interesting to see. I want to keep track of this throughout the 4 drafts, because again, most best ball tournaments, you're drafting the skill guys first, and then you're drafting the quarterbacks. You get sniped, you get pissed, whatever. I want to see if what you say is true in the fact that everyone gets their quarterback early, and then everyone just kind of avoids everyone else's quarterback stacks, and they just all go grab their own, and then everyone's happy, right? It's just, hey, I won't grab your quarterbacks, receivers. You don't grab mine. I'll get my guys. You get yours. I haven't really combed through this a ton. I guess Debo goes to the Jalen Hurts team and everything. I mean, you can't get every single receiver, but it'll be interesting to see if a lot of the teams that get their quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence gets Evan Ingram, that type of thing. So I'm definitely going to keep Kirk Cousins, Drake London. I feel like it's pretty easy when you grab your quarterbacks first to be able to go grab your stacks.
Yep. I think that makes it easier. I think it's better to do it the other way if you can. Like we saw Go Bills do at 8, but sometimes that's not possible. It depends when you're drafting, in what spot of the order. Yeah. And you might want to do it both ways. In the Superflex draft, you sort of lock in like Andrew did at 3, Mahomes and Kelsey, and then, figure out what comes later. But good start for him for sure. 1 running back through 9 rounds. Andrew's on the clock in round 10. Kyren Williams is his only running back. Team 2, Stacy Perez has 1 running back through 9. She'll be up in a minute. Go Bills has 1 in ETN. Team 5, David just picked his first, David Montgomery, in round 10. And John Daigle at the 12, also 1 running back through half the draft. I mean, that's a trend of the times right there. It's not just who you're playing against tonight, but that's been the theme of the year is fading running backs, and tonight we're seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, my God, if my father saw this draft, 10th round RB1, he'd be disgusted. But that's the way of the times. You know what I mean? That's how we're doing it now. So, and again, as long as I've always said, we don't know anything. We don't know what Devin Achan's going to do. We don't know Raheem. We don't know what anyone's going to do. Just show me when you're drafting that it make sense. So if you wait on forever to take a running back, make that draft strategy make sense with the way the rest of your team looks. Like if you go, if you go running back heavy early, if you go running back to start, don't take another one for like 8 or 9 or 10 rounds. Like make that make sense. Don't keep adding running backs onto that to that team. So we'll see how Dave ends up rolling out his team. Looks good so far. Montgomery, fine, takes him as RB21. Nice safe pick there. And we'll see what else he's able to do there.
No need to consider correlation, as you mentioned earlier, in this tournament. It's the one thing you don't have to worry about is who plays who in December. There's none of that. It's 1 through 17 total points the whole way. One thing, this is deep in the woods here, but I like to sort of default to same division when I'm drafting. I think I know some of the matchups, but NFC North, but every week 18 matchup is a divisional matchup. So a lot of those matchups you think are going to happen twice just intuitively will not. Yes. Because week 18 doesn't count. In fact, to that point, New England and Buffalo don't meet until week 16. We had this with the Eagles and Giants a couple of years ago, where 2 of their last 3 games were head-to-head. I don't think that should ever happen. I've always, for years, offered to no avail to do the NFL schedule because I think it would be a lot better. It should all the division. You have the 2 division matchups per year. They should all be like first half, second half.
Yeah, that makes sense. That all for sure. And maybe, they're talking about going to 18 games and maybe 2 bye weeks for everybody, and maybe they can do it that way. But you should not be waiting, like you said, till week 16 to play a division rival twice. I mean, especially because there's injury. If you lose an injured player at the second half of the year, now you lose them for both games. It's it's kind of interesting. And I do like, people have talked about the Bills-Miami rivalry. I do like the fact that you get a Miami team and a Buffalo team. I like having to go to Miami early in the season. Then they got to come here late in the season when it's cold. I like those factors. I think that's pretty cool for sure. So the schedule should definitely be different too. Snowman here talks about, we haven't talked about this, Mike. Hockenson could be a steal. Bradley gets him. We haven't talked a lot about Hockenson, you and I, on the show. Where are you with drafting him? I know it's been nothing but good news for him coming out since the injury. He might be ready for week 1. I doubt it. But people were like, oh, he might not be ready for week 9, week 10. But it could look like just a short pup stint and be back week 5 or 6. What are your thoughts? How have you been drafting Hockenson?
Well, I feel differently about him than I did 48 hours ago. Before the McCarthy injury, to me, he's like it's round 12 or something, and you might have a Packer on underdog. You sort of might have a need for him later on in best ball. Then I love it. As long as it's not early, I love the idea of drafting Hockenson. If there's any correlation there, if you're just sort of short at the position, then I can draft someone like a Conklin or somebody later that I feel like is going to play, or a Hunter Henry. So for the most part this summer, I've liked Hockenson as a draft pick, but I'm only doing it when I think I can afford it. Since the McCarthy injury, I don't know. I think Darnold gives you the possibility of big pass volume, and if somehow their line is good, that can end up in some real fantasy points, and they have Jefferson. But if they're not, that's a disaster. And who knows what that looks like? They might be hoping for a top draft pick by next year, not to pick a quarterback because McCarthy will come back. I think when McCarthy was the likely second half of the season option, even if they were having a losing season, I feel like Hockenson would have been worth drafting. Now I'm less sure because I think it's possible the wheels come off.
Yeah, the wheels could definitely come off. I mean, Darnold has never been good. And so here we are. But I don't know. Hockenson could still, the wheels have fallen off teams before, and players have been able to have fantasy output. But again, when you got Justin Jefferson there, I'm assuming you're lower on Jefferson now too than you were a couple of days ago. Yes.
That's harder for me because he's so good and he's so clearly the number 1 guy, and Darnold's career rides on this. This is Mayfield a year ago, where you better get it right this time. And Tampa Bay, to Mayfield's benefit, was in a super weak division. They were pretty lucky at times, and they won 9 games and then were in the playoffs. Yep. And then he got a contract because, owners aren't always that smart. But Darnold does not have that luxury. He's got a very tough division. The Bears are minus money to make the playoffs, and they're 3rd out of 4 in that division. So, that's fine. The offensive line is the key. If they can keep him on the field, even if the defense is bad, it's been that way in Minnesota. That's big fantasy points. Darnold is interesting to draft. And Jefferson, I think, is fine. Hockenson is just a little tougher of a click for me because of the McCarthy injury, just because I think with the injury he had, he's a little bit older. And if they get to mid-November and they're 2-9, what's the point?
Right. No, I completely agree. Jefferson, I think, will be okay. He was good with Dobbs last year at quarterback, so I think he can get away with anybody. It's going to be interesting.
You know what? Your question back to me, is Jefferson the same thing? Maybe it should be.
I don't know, but here's the thing. It doesn't, projections and all that doesn't really, it's where are you going to draft these guys, right? So for me, Jefferson was right ahead of Garrett Wilson. Now I've got Garrett Wilson ahead of Justin Jefferson for me. So he drops one spot. Projections and numbers, and this is the quarterback. I mean, can I move him below AJ Brown? Maybe you could see doing that too, but he moves maybe down 2 spots in the first round. So you're not, at that point you're going to be fine. I'm not taking Puka over him. And I think Jefferson's a dog. He's on pace to be the best receiver of all time per game basis. I don't think he's gonna hurt you that bad. He did it with terrible quarterback play at the end of the year, so I think he'll be fine.
I had to move the board down a little bit because I wanted to see who John Daigle picked at 12-1, and I don't really want to shoot FFPC an email just this moment, so I had to move the board down to be able to see who he picked, and it's Jonathan Brooks. Who is, very exciting, polarizing idea for a pick. Brooks and Moss together. John's been doing this a long time, where he takes sort of the safer, kind of run-of-the-mill, but in a good offense, Zach Moss pick at 12. After Matt doesn't, but Matt takes Pollard to go with his Will Levis, not Moss to go with Burrow. And then Brooks is like sort of the opposite of Moss. The offense is maybe terrible. At least it is going into the season. Great prospect. Won't start right away. Love that sort of pairing there, Moss and Brooks.
Yeah, Javonte Williams, man. I've got a ton of him. RB, where do you go? RB 31 here. I really like that. I feel like maybe Matt would have. Oh, that was Matt. There you go. I can't see the name. I'm like Matt probably hit it. He got sniped there. Love that Javonte Williams pick. Draft Sharks has been leading the charge on Javonte Williams since the beginning, since this spring. So no, I definitely like that too. Go Bills with Zamir White. Zamir White been a guy we did a couple drafts with them. I feel like they were off of Zamir White. Maybe I'm not remembering that correctly, but hey,
maybe it's round 11.
They're a 3-headed monster over there. So maybe it was maybe 2 outvoted 1. I'm gonna go Bills.
You did a Fantasy Pros draft on our stream when Matthew Collar was our guest. I'm very excited to be partnering with Matt at Purple Insider, his site, a Viking site, talking fantasy every Wednesday. And we talked at length about the Vikings and other teams yesterday. You can find that at Purple Insider or on my Twitter at Schauf Talk. But you were having this killer draft, and then you picked Javonte Williams. And I'm like, no, that's terrible. But a month later or so, it looks much better. I thought he was just not going to be their guy, off a bad injury, not everybody's favorite prospect. But so far, maybe with also the lack of emergence from other players in that backfield, Williams is a much better pick now than then, I think. The price is different, but I like the pick now more than then, I'll say.
It's a little bit different. He got him at RB. Then you never had to take him in front of RB 30. Matt gets him here as RB 31. And now you see him going. Sometimes I've been taking him at RB 26, 25, just to get him. And yeah, they're saying he looks better than ever. Not better than ever. I'm sorry. They're saying he looks like a completely different player. Lost the weight, coming at 2 years off the knee injury. And it was one of those situations where it's like, I wasn't on Javonte, but then you go to being a good fantasy player really means kind of trusting the people who are really smart and do this. And Player Profile has a ton of those guys, Billy and Theo and Bradley and all these guys there. And Draft Sharks does too. And I remember reaching out to the Draft Sharks. I said, hey, what am I missing? His ADP is like 35 and you've got him ranked like 21. Like what? And it's just like, hey, they get a lot of fantasy points out of the running backs there. That coaching staff, okay, they catch it, they run it. And if he's healthy, he's the best running back there. So it's kind of simple as that. It's just a projections thing. Like, all right, well, I'm going to keep on to taking him then. And it's kind of been coming around and looking better. Cross our fingers he could stay healthy.
Well, practically, what do you want to be doing? You want to take the ADP, but then also figure out like what is happening in the room, what's fluid. And if you're playing lots of drafts, it's also how much volume of this player do I have already? There are lots of variables. So you wouldn't ever want to go like straight off the rankings. You see your favorite site rank a player 14 positions higher than ADP, you should know you don't have to draft him there.
Right.
But you might draft him, you might split the difference. if it's 21 versus 35, you might pick them at 28, depending on if you're on the ends, especially. Lots of different factors, but you shouldn't have to feel like you have to pick them way up there to get them.
Absolutely. 100% agree. 100% agree.
When we're done tonight, let me know when you want to wrap, because I will get in my car and drive to Webster for Saturday's golf game. So I'm not late.
Grab the
so
salted
far.
meats. All right. Grab a case of bottled water just in case.
What is salted meats? What is that reference? Like just to say, stay hydrated? What is that?
No, I think the salted meats is like, when you're getting in like a caravan, like on the Oregon Trail, you grab a bunch of salted meat, put it in there for the 6-month trek up to across the country,
because it doesn't go bad.
It doesn't go bad. That's right.
I get it now. I didn't want to admit earlier that I didn't understand what that meant, but now I get
well, if I
it.
have to explain it, it's not that good. So
like fruit would not last. So I don't want to take fruit because I have to
yeah.
drive literally like 100 miles.
That's right.
Not even 100 miles.
What do you hit a hole in one? Have you ever hit a hole in one?
No. The closest I've ever come was at the golf course next to where your anniversary party was. It was known as Braemar. Is it still Braemar?
Oh, it's right down the road. Yes, absolutely.
Number 2, I think it was, like inches. That's the closest I've ever been to a hole in one.
Amazing.
I've seen one in person.
Have you?
Oh, you want that story?
What's the rule? Do they have to buy everybody else drinks, or how does that work?
This was in a tournament at Blue Heron Hills.
Yep.
In Victor, maybe?
Yes, Victor.
In the late 90s, which I mean, this is the Oregon Trail. I want to say the 1990s. This was. And it was a charity event, one of these Monday scrambles. A guy in the group made a hole in one. I think it was at maybe 6 at Blue Heron. I don't know the course that well. And we're wondering the whole day, like, what did he win? It was not obvious. Sometimes at these tournaments, it'll be like, you make a hole in one right here, you win $10,000, whatever.
Yeah.
It was not clear what he had won. So we get done with the round, back at the clubhouse. There's a car in the parking lot with a sign, and Doan Buick, if I remember correctly. It's many years ago. There's a hole in one. We go to the pro shop and report that this man had made a hole in one, and we go through the whole thing. It turned out, so anyway, it wasn't 100% certain in the pro shop, like what we were going to do about it. But I was the MC of the charity event,
of course,
and I talked to the people, and they tell me I can announce at the dinner that he won the car, and he doesn't know it.
Wow.
So I've got a room sitting there, and I sort of drag the story out like I am right now, 25 years later. And like, actually, we are giving, and I hold the keys up. You have won this car, and the place goes crazy.
Yep.
And so, everybody is so happy. He's won a car. It's the best. The next morning, I was on the air at 10 in the morning the next day, and I got a call from the guy before the show the next day. Is like, they're taking the car away. I said, why? He said, because the hole wasn't long enough. On the insurance policy, it said the hole had to be a certain yardage, and it wasn't long enough. I'm like, well, that's not going to work. Because he was already I already had him lined up to come on the show and tell the story. So I said, come on anyway, tell the story. He does. Doan Buick. I think their thing was Doan delivers. I'm like, well, is Doan going to deliver? Because this guy made a hole in one. I was there, and my workplace did not like that I said that. They were a sponsor, and I was in big trouble. So anyway, it went on for a period of time. The Democrat and Chronicle, Leo Roth wrote a story, and eventually he got the car. We all signed affidavits, and I had to do a phone interview, like that it was legit. It was all very serious, but the guy, I wish I could remember his name. It was just somebody I met that day, won the car, and it was the best.
Listen,
that's the only hole in one I've ever seen in my group.
I've never seen one. It's probably harder to win the Deep End Invitational than it is to hit a hole in one. Okay, so good luck to all the contestants out there.
Well, you and I have both finished second in 4 years.
Right.
I mean,
I feel like
it's not that hard to finish second.
The hole wasn't long enough. I came in second place, and I didn't win anything.
It can't be that hard to finish second if we've both done it.
That's right.
In 4 years.
That's right.
But that is true. Well, we are into round 14. We're having a great time. Is there anything else you want to talk about with respect to this draft? We can sign off and then have everybody join us on Twitter or X, as you call it, in future streams to reflect on the whole thing. And we appreciate everybody playing, and hopefully they'll also show the boards, and we can all analyze it together.
Yeah, let's sign off and do that. I like what a lot of these teams did. Team 12 comes back with 4 straight running backs. And I was talking about some other teams, like make it make sense. So that makes sense. We'll see what some of these other guys decide to do over here. But no, it was a great first night. A lot of great picks, a lot of good stacks. And you know it's time to sign off when Aiden O'Connell goes off the board. That's when that'll be our player. When this guy gets drafted, we're calling it a night.
Adam, I picked him last year in this tournament.
There you go. Got to. AOC.
No, I shouldn't have, but I just pushed quarterback too far, and I had nobody. Remember, I picked 4, and O'Connell was one right at the end. I think it was O'Connell. Go Bills takes him over Minshew, right? Do we see Minshew, or is he already gone?
Minshew's probably, maybe he's not gone. Maybe we just broke a rule by talking about
No, that's not a rule. He is not gone.
He is not gone. But all these people know about Gardner Minshew. Okay.
So. Oh, they still know about Gardner Minshew, but they picked O'Connell over him. Like their bet is I think O'Connell is the betting favorite to start week 1 for the Raiders.
Well, there you have it.
Maybe most people are assuming different, but I did see that the other day.
Is that good or bad for Davante Adams? I'd rather have Minshew, I feel like, because at least he knows where to go. Like, hey, he'll get the ball to the guy, to Davante Adams,
I don't know. Did Adams suffer last year when
he had 160 targets or 170 targets and had 100 catches? Now, 100 catches is not a bad season, but that catch rate is terrible, and it's not his fault. So it's like, that's the argument against Jefferson, right? Is if Darnold is that bad, he's got to see 170 targets to kind of make up for that inefficiency. But we'll see.
I want to be open to the possibility that the Raiders know something, although that's usually not the bet you want to make.
Correct.
They drafted for a decade without the internet. Somehow they were allowed to do that and able to stay in the league, but they're a legacy team. I like Adams so much. I mean, if he gets into round 3 on underdog or in, sort of a regular draft, great. And maybe he even gets traded, but
I feel like such a
hard.
I don't know. Like I try to put my heart and soul into this and come up with and listen to the really smart people and the numbers and the underlying metrics and this, that, and everything. And then I watch a show called Receivers on Netflix, and you just sit there and listen to these guys. Like I was kind of off Davante Adams, and now I want to draft him all the time because just watching Receivers, listening to him talk, seeing all the hard work he puts in, and the film study. And I'm like, he's not the only one doing that, but it's like, I'm watching him do it. So it's like, I want to watch him succeed. I'm like, oh, that he's going to be great this year. Like kind of one of those stupid things. It reminds me of when I watched Hard Knocks 6 or 7 years ago before Darren Waller broke out. I'm like, Darren Waller, he looks like he could be a player in the league. And I'm drafting him everywhere late. Like I know anything. And he ends up going crazy. I'm like, yep, I knew it watching Hard Knocks. So, but no, I feel like such a boomer watching these shows and be like, yeah, I'm going to take Davante Adams because I like him on Receivers on Netflix.
You don't want to draft Davante Adams. You want to invite him to play golf with us on Saturday in Webster, New York. That's what you want to do. You want to be friends with Davante Adams.
So he can play in the Rochester Flag Football League. Okay. Forget the golf. Okay.
I mean, he's up there. It's not too far away.
First round pick.
We'll sign off here. Again, follow Deep End FF1 for the board and analysis. Not only are we back next Thursday for League 2 of the Deep End Invitational, but I believe, Adam, I have a Fantasy Pros draft on Tuesday the 20th that we will stream here as well.
You definitely have a draft on Tuesday the 20th for sure. I will be in
Or is it the 27th?
I'll be in Kentucky on the 20th. So I don't think
it's the 27th.
Okay. Well, then we can stream that one for sure. No, we'll definitely get you on stream for that. And I'll talk while you dominate. How does that sound?
All right. So 22nd will be our next show. And then 27, 28, 29 after that. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for correcting me on that.
You got it.
Mike Schauf at Schauf Talk, Adam_Krautwurst at Deep End FF1. Adam is also involved in FFWC, right? You want to talk about that? What do you have over there?
Yeah, we're doing the middle of, it's the middle of draft season of FWC. Main events over there, $150,000 grand prize for that. They got their Las Vegas Circa Mid Stakes as well, $50,000 grand prize for that. So check those out as well. And I'll be in Vegas at the Circa, hanging out for the party Thursday night, Friday night draft. And I'll be at the FFPC stuff as well at Planet Hollywood. It's the best weekend of the year. I can't wait.
You can find me not there, but at WGR 550 weekdays 3 to 7 with Bulldog, including tomorrow. Cody Carpentier joins me and Bulldog for our show there, talking Buffalo Bills mostly, and then also at Purple Insider with Matthew Collar weekly, talking fantasy football. Thanks for being a part of our show tonight. Good luck to the players. League 1 of 4. See you next week here in the Deep End Invitational.
See you guys.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you, allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.